Okay, so here's the front of the bike now without the plastics on there. We can see a bit more of the extent of the damage now. The bracket for this, of course, for the mountings are in two parts. There's a lower section and you've got the upper section which carries the mirrors and the screen. Now, it's hard to tell at this stage whether both parts need to be replaced. Clearly, that one there is all squiffy. It's whether or not we can salvage the top one at this stage. I'm not quite sure if it's bent or if it's just at a funny angle because of the bracket underneath. What is quite evident though is that if we look at the front of the bike and line up the forks more or less, we can see the angle of the front tyre, whether you can make that out there. To be central, it's about there, which of course makes the steering wonky. So the forks may be bent, they may have just twisted around during the impact, so we'll slacken everything off a bit later and just see if we can straighten everything up. So welcome back to Retro Restos. So today we're still looking at this Fireblade. A little bit bent on the front there, you can probably see it. The forks aren't quite aligned with the wheel. It could be something really sinister, bent forks, etc. But occasionally when they've had a bit of a knock on the front like that, the forks can just rotate a little bit and throw everything out of alignment. So first thing we'll do is get her up on the stand, and then we can start slackening off the necessary pinch bolts and see if we can make a bit of an improvement there. So we've got her up on some ABBA stands now, just the main stand there, plus just on the exhaust we've got the little lift at the front just to keep the wheel off the ground so we can have a closer look. The wheel looks okay. I haven't spun it yet to see if it's true. It does have a puncture, which could have been a blown valve on the impact. It could have just been the way the tyre was compressed at the time. Could be a slow puncture, could be anything really. We may need to free the brakes off a bit to have a look to see how true she actually runs in a minute. But in the meantime, anyway, the main point of this is to just see if there's any graunching or anything like that. Excuse fingers. So she's turning okay, which is good news, and there's no sort of graunchiness in the bearings. None of the stops have been damaged on the handlebars or the frame. So yeah, we'll start slackening off all these little pinch bolts and just see if we can square the wheel up a little bit. So that looks a lot better now, a lot more square, straight down the nose. The old BMX through your knees trick there. So it seems pretty good now, to be honest. The top and the bottom trees line up nicely, and also the wheel is actually spinning much better than it was now, which tends to suggest that things are lined up better. Tiny bit of drag off the brake calipers, but they haven't been used in a while and the pads are quite low now, so I think I'll drop the wheel out at some point to change the tyre because that needs doing, and then we'll clean up and refresh the brake calipers once we replace the pads. So there we go, that's another little job done for now, and we can't do much more about that until we do the road test anyway, so we'll call it a day there. Good stuff. To Retro Restos. So not too much to report on Project Fireblade today. I have gone ahead and taken off the lower cowls, which is all good news, because obviously she needs a wash under there, but the fairing stays on both sides are nice and straight, which means that the bottom half of the fairings are absolutely fine and they can go back on once I've given her an oil and filter change and a good clean. Yeah, so that's all good news, and all the other parts are on order, so there'll be more in the next couple of days, so stay tuned. In the meantime, just a quick update also on the car. So we've got some parts on order for the car, and there's a little bit of body work to do. I've got the arches to tend to, which is pretty much it's not structural, it's only surface rust, but there may be a touch of welding. We'll see once we grind it all back. In the meantime, a little job just for this afternoon is these horrible things. They're actually really cool. They're original to the car, so they're dating back quite a few years. but they've seen better days and really do make the car look tatty. And would you believe it, you actually have to remove the lug nuts to get these off, so no one's going to steal them in a hurry. Anyway, got some plastic primer on order. I've got the silver paint ready to go. So yeah, let's just start getting some wet and dry, cleaning these up, ready for painting over the next couple of days. So the trims are all sanded. I couldn't resist the temptation just to put a tiny little bit of filler in one or two on the deeper scratches, but nothing too sort of perfect really. Another sand down they've had, and another soapy wash and a rinse. They're just drying off in the sun now, and then tomorrow the plastic primer's due, so we can actually start putting the paint back on.